Okay, let's, we've got the Walter England trial.
Yes, Your Honor. He is present, represented by Mr. Edgerton.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, sir. Okay, a lot of late filed motions, but we'll take a look at those.
Your Honor, there are a couple of preliminary matters I'd like to address. First, I want to confirm that this is being recorded.
Excuse me?
I just want to confirm this is being recorded.
Is this being recorded?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, perfect. Number two, I'd like to invoke the rule of exclusion.
Got it.
And then third, I want to make sure there's no unlawful recordings going on in the courtroom today.
Okay. All right. Those who are going to be testifying today on behalf of either the city or for the defense, you need to sit outside and not talk about this case amongst yourselves. I know this case involves filming in court. There will be no filming. There will be no recording of any nature. Okay? Nothing in the coats or in the pockets, anything like that. So whoever's going to be testifying, either for the city or for the defense, need to step out.
And Your Honor, just from the defense side, with regard to the rule of exclusion, there's two witnesses, or at least one witness, who would not be testifying depending on how the court resolves some of our motions. I don't know if the court will, if you want to resolve those now, they would just become audience members.
Yeah, I think we'll talk about the motion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That
All
sounds
right,
good.
let's talk about the, is the issue regarding hiring an expert still on board?
Your Honor, Judge Hazel Stevens resolved our renewed motion and denied that on different grounds, and so that issue has been resolved.
Okay. You know, I did spend some time researching Wiss, and I knew Wiss. He's a good guy. He's since passed away. Anyways, okay, so that's resolved. I won't waste any time. Okay, the prior bad acts. Let me kind of give you that. I've known prior bad acts a long time. And I'm not quite sure what is included within the prior bad acts, within the recordings, whatever those people have to say. But you really want those prior bad acts introduced? Because I'm going to tell you one thing right now. I've got, this kind of goes hand in hand whether or not we're a certified journalist, what have you. In the city's response, I did not know what the communication was between these parties on the incident prior to the case we're here, the date of the offense and then subsequent. But I do find in one of them that, and I won't hold this against anybody right now, but I found out in one of them, according to the pleadings, that there was some improper language that I don't know if any renowned journalists would be talking about this, but in one of the incidents, this involved in one of the prior acts, defendant and companion, I think this is the situation that occurred after, 4 months after this case. Defendant and his companion, I'm just reading out the pleadings, and if it's correct, I don't know if you really want this introduced. If you want the prior bad acts, if you want to consider a post-act a prior bad act, I guess you can't for certain reasons. The defendant and his companion shined a flashlight in Officer Sotelo face and told Officer Sotelo to burn and die, called him a bitch, punk, and an asshole, where they were not arrested. Now that's just what I haven't read. We've looked into the prior bad acts themselves. It's not proper for me to do so. When I'm reading the pleadings, things like that come out. That's not good for you. So I was kind of surprised. I'm thinking, wait, who's asking for what now? So what do you want to do? What's your on the prior bad acts? What's your...
Well, Your Honor, the two instances are situated differently. One predating the incident that we're looking at, which is September 2023. I think that the July incident is more relevant, I would concede, than the January incident that the court just referred to, simply because one preceded the other and probably tells us more about mental states of the two parties than the latter incident. The abusive language that the court has actually correctly cited from the pleadings, as the city reflected, they in full candor put that forward, were by another individual. So that was not Mr. England. Those comments were made by his companion. And that does tend to kind of color the whole interaction to some extent, but Mr. England comes off as much more pacific in that interaction. So, I may or may not get into the January 2024 incident. It's less probative. It's the context is maybe more inflammatory. But the July 2023, which precedes the incident by about 2 months, to the extent that there was any exchange of words, which the city did get into a little bit, I believe, that was after the initial incident had. So the comments that are attributed to Mr. England on page 3 lines.
I've heard them already.
Sure.
On July 2023, what was inflammatory? What did he say, if anything?
So after the principal interaction had ended, in terms of the recording, then as Officer Sotelo is leaving the scene, there's some ongoing exchange about the nature of recording and the nature of what Mr. England is up to, and things become somewhat heated, and so at certain points there's exchange of name-calling in both directions.
Give me some specifics.
Sure. So I believe the city has correctly quoted Mr. England at one point as saying something along the lines of, "You're a punk-ass officer, you shouldn't be an officer anymore, get a different job." And this is as Officer Sotelo is leaving the scene in a police vehicle, obstructing a sidewalk, and doing something on his phone. So this is long after the principal incident had occurred, and this is after Officer Sotelo had twice referred to Mr. England as, quote, nosy. A nosy person.
I don't remember what the context is, but anyways. Okay. I can talk to you about, as far as the prior bad acts are concerned, prior to, subsequent to, they can be held in cross-examination rather than, are you okay? I mean, it's open for cross anyhow.
And we put in our opposition, it's just really not relevant. This case is completely different from that case. The July 2023, it was 2 months prior to this incident. The defendant was told to stay back. He did. He was not arrested. No obstruction whatsoever in the investigation that was going on then. And so we have concerns this is an entirely different set of circumstances, different set of facts, and it really has nothing at all to do with this case at all.
What I'll do is I'll entertain it on cross.
Yes, I appreciate that. And the video is not as important as being able to reach the incident. The last comment I was going to add, Your Honor, is that in the officer's report, pages 2 and 3, he actually references the July incident. He also references it in his comments at the time. So again, the July incident is more probative than the January incident.
So prior bad acts should be done on cross. As far as the filming, do you want to talk about that, or we could?
Courtroom filming?
Yeah.
On Mr. England's behalf, obviously this is animated from concerns about the transparency of judicial proceedings and criminal proceedings. I think that both sides have been adequately heard. The court has made its ruling, and I think any appeal from that could follow.
Adam and Justin, you always do a good job. There was a administrative order by Judge Hazel Stevens that talks about the introduction of film recording in the courtroom, basically predicated upon the right of people in court to be able to move around freely without having anything invasive occurring. So anyways, okay, so that's all taken care of. What else do we need as far as the prior bad acts report? So the prior bad acts handled on cross, the film inside the door, and what else are we doing here?
Your Honor, one other question, just to clarify. So prior bad acts, you're saying the July of 2023 incident can come in, but the January of 2024 incident cannot?
What we'll do is, as we go along,
Okay.
Rather than see if you find an objection, just go ahead and check.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, what else? What am I missing? The film is taken care of, prior bad acts.
There were motions that were filed, or I'm sorry, memorandum of law, points and authorities were filed today. I didn't know if the court wanted to address that.
And what are we doing with that? It's filed today.
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and that was on me, Your Honor. And so, I apologize to Ms. Schumann and to the court for the timing of it. I'll spare everyone the excuses and the context. Essentially, I wanted to memorialize some thoughts and some research in advance of the hearing. The city's gotten a chance to look at it. The court may have had an opportunity to digest some of it. This is just an alternative to me bringing up all these statutes cold turkey in a closing or asking the court to consider them in that way. So essentially, it's just laying the legal framework as we see the case. The city obviously has taken, has opposed or recharacterized some of those issues. I just didn't want to be dropping case names and statutes that wouldn't have come up in evidence as we close. So I just want to lay that legal framework.
And I'm sorry, we already covered the expert?
We have that. That was the witness motion at the top.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you read witness?
Yes. And again,
Witness didn't do you any good.
What's that?
Witness did not do you any good.
No, and I was relying here essentially on two issues. One is that in my contract as a legal defender, basically references that motions for ex parte expenses can be made in this manner. And then the reason that I pivoted from your order, Your Honor, was simply because in my reading of the contract that I had, it was supposed to be adjudicated by the judge who was not hearing the matter.
Yeah.
So that was the reason there. And then again, to the nature, it wasn't so much to offer an expert, it was to, it was before I knew one of the witnesses I'll be calling today, Mr. Peck. I didn't know him quite as well, and I wasn't sure how effectively we could adduce the lay opinion that I'm going to adduce today. Those concerns have been obviated, but I was simply asking for a small amount of funds to be able to have a neutral party come in and describe the scene. But I think we'll tread that ground today.
Okay, all right. Okay, then we're good. Can we get rolling?
Yes, Your Honor.
Call your first one.
Your Honor, if we could call Officer Henry Sotelo. Henry Sotelo? I believe. It's Anthony Sotelo. Oh, he's not going to like me. Anthony Sotelo.
Right now, please. Do you swear to speak before this court, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Your turn.
Your Honor, permission to move about the courtroom freely? Thank you, Your Honor. Hi, officer. Can you state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Anthony Sotelo, ANTHONY,
Not Henry? Anthony?
No.
Okay, just making sure. What do you do for work?
I'm a police officer with the Reno Police Department.
And how long have you worked for the Reno Police Department?
About 7 years now.
And what training did you undergo to become a peace officer?
Post Academy, Nevada Post Academy.
And how long does that last?
It's about a 5-month course.
Okay, what about any specialized training?
Yes, I have multiple trainings, SWAT training. I've done coordinating trainings, shooting, DTs, defensive tactics, EVOC training, which is driving. And I'm also involved in college. I'm a year shy of completing my criminal justice major.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, tell me about, were you working for Reno PD on September 18th of last year?
Yes.
What shift?
Swing shift.
And what were you doing at approximately 5:30 p.m.?
I was patrolling the area of 2nd and Sierra Street.
Okay, and what happened?
I was weighed down by a citizen claiming that she had found her stolen vehicle.
Do you know what?
Repeat that. Slow down a little bit. Go ahead.
I was weighed down by a citizen claiming that she found her stolen vehicle.
Okay, do you remember what that lady's name was?
Holly?
Okay, so Holly waved you down and said she found her stolen vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. So where did you go to locate the vehicle?
So I made a U-turn and I turned around and I met with the victim and her boyfriend, Timothy, and they both told me that the vehicle was parked. And they were pointing at the vehicle and told me it was there.
Okay, and where was the vehicle parked?
The vehicle was parked on the north side of 2nd Street in between West and Sierra.
And is that within the city limits of Reno?
Yes.
Do you remember approximately how long that car had been stolen?
It was actually stolen the night prior. My partner had took the initial case and we were both looking for the vehicle.
Okay, so what did you know at that point about who had stolen the car?
I did nothing.
And in your observation and experience, what are the dangers of investigating a crime like this?
It could potentially be used in other crimes, drug trafficking, violent crimes, robberies, known in that nature.
Can there be weapons in the vehicle?
Yes.
People in the vehicle?
Yes.
Bodies in the vehicle?
Yes.
So when you first approached this vehicle, so you're investigating a felony, is that right?
Yes.
I should have clarified that. So when you first approached this vehicle, what did you do?
Initially, I told the victims to stay behind while I made sure there was nobody inside. I checked to see if there was no one inside the occupied vehicle.
Okay. And what did you know was inside the vehicle when you started your investigation?
Nothing.
Nothing. Were the windows tinted?
Yes.
And you were looking inside the vehicle with a flashlight?
Yes.
Why were you doing that?
To get a better view inside.
Okay. Now, is that a standard thing for you to do with stolen vehicles?
To look inside, yes. For any evidence, any value, I guess you could say.
Okay. Did you talk to the victim about the vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. And what did you do next?
I asked if I confirmed that this was their vehicle, and he said yes. They advised me that the door handle was broken and that they did not have the keys with them at the time.
Did you ask them to pop the trunk of the vehicle?
Yes.
And were they able to do that?
Not without the keys.
Okay. Why would you ask them to pop the trunk?
I was wanting to make sure before I released the vehicle to them, to make sure there was no dead bodies, no guns, no weapons, anything of evidentiary value for my case.
Okay. Potentially drugs or anything like
Correct.
that? Okay. Did you check to see if the vehicle was unlocked?
I did. So I walked around. I noticed the passenger door was unlocked, but while I was making my way around, the driver's side was locked.
Okay. Now, at this point, how many officers were on scene with you?
It was just me.
And what influence does that have in how you handle a scene like this?
Well, investigating a felony crime, it's a big hazard for me because I don't know if there's the criminal just dropped off the vehicle. I don't know if there's anything of evidentiary value. I don't know how long the vehicle has been parked there. It's pretty concerning to me. Just not knowing the unknowns.
So, and you're walking around the vehicle, kind of looking around, you said?
Yes.
Okay, now when did you notice Mr. England?
It's actually as I was walking in front of the vehicle to confirm the VIN, I looked across the street and I noticed he was on the T2 travel lane.
Okay, and you said you saw him in the travel lane?
Yes.
Your Honor, if I can approach. Officer, I'm handing you a photograph. Do you recognize this?
Yes.
Okay, what is it?
Vehicle traveling eastbound on 2nd Street, and Mr. England standing in the travel lane.
Okay, is this a still shot of your body cam?
Yes, it is.
Is it at 1 minute 31 seconds?
Yes, it is.
Okay, have you modified this or tampered with it in any way?
No.
Your Honor, we move to admit it.
No objection.
Right.
Your
I'm sorry,
Honor.
so as we go on, he's standing in the travel lane, in the eastbound travel lane,
Yes.
okay, and there was a vehicle traveling in his direction,
On the T1 travel lane. Yes.
Okay.
It was a T2 travel.
so he was in that lane of travel?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Your Honor, this is going to be kind of difficult because we don't have any way to display it for the court, but can you describe this photograph for the judge? Here, I'll give you a copy.
So, yeah, so
This is plaintiff's
the defendant's on the south side of the street, on 2nd Street, on the east travel lane. You can tell there's a vehicle parked, and there's also a white line towards the back of the pickup truck near the rear left tire. He's actually past that white line in the travel lane.
You're saying his foot is over that?
Yes.
Okay, so you told him to get off the street.
Yes.
How many times did you tell him to get off the street?
3 times.
And what did he do?
He said he wasn't on the street and that he's good.
Okay, how far away from you was he standing at this point?
About 30 feet.
And were you okay with him filming you from across the street?
I was fine as long as he was doing it in a safe place, in a safe distance.
So was he filming you? I don't know if we touched on that.
It looked like he was filming me, yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, did?
Yes.
Okay, so did he ignore you? Did he listen to you? Did he back up?
He refused to get off the street, get out of the street.
How would you describe his behavior towards you during this initial interaction?
Confrontational.
So what did you do next?
Then I actually ignored him, called for another unit, and I continued my investigation.
Okay, you called for backup, you said?
Yes.
Did you see that individual again?
Yes. So once I confronted the vehicle, I went back to the sidewalk. I was talking to the victim, and I could see that Mr. England was now walking to the crosswalk, and then across the crosswalk and come to my side of the street.
So he was on your side of the street on the sidewalk?
Yes.
Is that what you said? Okay. And approximately, so what did you do? I guess.
So I seen him walking towards me. I gave him, I asked him to stop.
Okay. And how far away from him were you when you said stay back?
About a car length, maybe, I don't know, 30 feet.
Okay, so you're telling him to stop. Did he stop or did he continue towards
He
you?
refused my command to continue to walk towards me.
Okay, and he's walking towards you and Holly or just you?
Me and Holly.
Okay, so what did you do next?
I asked him again if he could just stop, go back where he was at. He continued.
Did he respond?
He said yes. He said I'm on the fucking sidewalk.
Okay, so he refused?
Yes.
And continued to walk towards you?
Yes.
Then what happened?
So he continued, and I explained to him, hey, I don't have to explain to him what I'm doing or what I'm investigating, but I explained to him this is the felony crime I'm investigating, a crime. I cannot have my back towards him while investigating this crime.
Okay, so when he finally stopped, how far away from you was he?
He was about six feet away from me.
Okay,
3 steps, about
2 to 3.
2 to 3 steps.
Okay.
Yes.
Your Honor, if I can approach.
He was 2 to 3 steps away from them.
2 to 3 steps away. Yes.
Your Honor, if I can approach. This is plaintiff's proposed exhibit number 2. Do you recognize this photograph?
Yes.
Okay, what is it?
It's my body cam, the victim.
A still shot?
The still shot, yes.
At what time?
At 3:41.
Okay, have you modified this or tampered with it in any way?
No.
Your Honor, I move to admit plaintiff's exhibit 2.
No objection.
To the judge. Okay, so let's talk about this photo. You can just kind of describe this for the judge.
So I'm actually giving them a command to go back where I told him to originally stop, which is near the light pole.
That's your arm there?
Yes.
You're actually directing him to go back?
Yes. He's refusing.
And is that where he stopped?
Yes.
And you're saying from where he is there to where you're standing, it was about 6 feet, between 6 and 8 feet?
Correct.
Okay, and how many steps between you and him?
2 to 3 steps.
Okay. Okay, so what did you say to him?
I told him to go back where he was at, back over there by the light pole.
Okay. And he refused?
He refused.
And then what did you do?
And then I told him that now he was being detained. I placed him in handcuffs.
Okay. Did you explain to him what you were doing?
Yes, I explained to him before I even put him in handcuffs, made the decision to put him in handcuffs. I explained to him that I was investigating a crime, felony crime, and that I couldn't have him behind my back while I was investigating this crime.
Okay. And then he still wouldn't back up?
He said no, he refused.
And then then you detained him?
Yes.
Okay. And what did you detain him for?
For obstructing my investigation.
Okay, he was disobeying your repeated commands?
Yes.
And you said you didn't want him behind you while you were looking into the vehicle?
Correct.
Why is that a concern of yours?
That's a concern. It's an officer safety concern because I don't know if he has any weapons on him. I don't know what his intentions are. And like I said, it's a big officer safety for me, and not only that, but for the civilian, for the victim of the vehicle.
Okay. Now, drawing your attention to this exhibit number 2, you can see Mr. England there. What's in his hand?
He has a cell phone on his left hand, and he has his right hand near his pocket.
So is it partially concealed?
Correct, yes.
So there could potentially be a weapon in there or something else?
Yes,
Okay, and you said it's by his pocket?
yes.
Okay, so how did the defendant's actions delay your investigation?
Well, his actions delayed me because now I have to focus my attention to him, not knowing where his intentions are. I explained to him multiple times, to back up. I told him that I was investigating crime, placing me, my safety and the victim's safety, and I had to stop what I was doing to make sure that we were safe.
Okay, and did you know if this defendant was going to be a threat to you or not?
I did not.
Okay, so let me see. Obviously, in your job, do you have to prepare for the worst?
Yes.
So what happened once you detained the defendant?
Once I detained the defendant, I had to completely stop what I was doing. I had to stop interacting with the victim and the vehicle and inventory searching the vehicle, and I called for additional units and a supervisor to come to my location.
Okay, what did the defendant say to you?
He mentioned that you guys just don't learn.
Okay, and did he say anything else?
And that he was in allegations with another officer.
He said he was in litigation with another officer? Okay, and did he threaten to sue you?
Yes, he said that you just don't learn, you're going to be in litigations too.
Okay, and what did he say about his arrest?
That it was unlawful.
Okay, did you explain why he was arrested?
He told me that he expressed that I was arrested for recording. I explained to him that no, that wasn't the case. The reason why I'm detaining you is because you're obstructing my investigation.
Okay, so if he had stayed back and continued filming, that would have been okay?
Yes, that's totally fine.
Or if he had been filming from across the street?
That's fine.
Okay. What did the defendant tell you about recording?
That he was on a fucking sidewalk and he could record.
And he can record
Yes.
wherever he wants?
Yes.
I'm sorry, you said what?
He was on the fucking sidewalk.
Okay, did he tell you he can record wherever he wants?
Yes.
Okay. When did more officers arrive?
About 5 minutes after I got on scene,
How many more officers arrived?
3 officers.
And did you ask for your sergeant to respond?
Yes.
Why did you do that?
Because after he mentioned about the litigations, and I just wanted to fill in my supervisor what was being said and what was being said.
Okay, and was the defendant cited for obstructing?
Yes, he was.
resisting? Okay, and why was he cited for that?
He was cited just because I was still busy dealing with my investigation over here. We came to the conclusion maybe this would be, he will learn from, we're not trying to be malicious and just arrest him. We're explaining to him why we're arresting him.
Why you were citing him?
Why we're citing him, sorry.
Instead of
Yes.
arresting?
Correct.
Did the victim, Holly, did she say she wanted to make a statement
She did.
about how she felt by the
Yes.
defendant? Okay. Okay, one other question. The individual that you detained and cited, is he present in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Can you please point to him and identify a article of clothing he's wearing?
He's wearing a blue polo shirt, short sleeve.
Your Honor, please let the record reflect that he's identified the defendant.
So fine.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and play your body cam. And Your Honor, it's short, I promise. It's about 8 minutes. And it has been stipulated too. I'm going to go ahead and mark it as Plaintiff's Exhibit 3.
That's correct, Your Honor. I gave a nonverbal nod that we've said the initials.
And Your Honor, I'm just wondering, how do you want me to mark this? Okay, we'll just stick that bad boy on there. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and play this.
It's just sound.
stolen again, so.
Oh, yeah, right. No, we're not going to leave it here. For
Why
sure.
are you the keys?
I'm leaving her here.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
I'm going to stay here and you turn around and go home and get the keys.
Okay.
I can't believe and I just looked over and there it was. I was like, oh my God, this car is great.
Can you get off the street, sir? Huh? Get off the street. You didn't get hit by a car. No, get off the street, please.
What's he taking a picture of?
Charles 316 here, and then again, please. Okay, Charles 316 here, can you check, please? Or confirm that for me, please?
I actually found it. I never thought I'd see it again. This makes me so happy. That kind of weird.
He's gonna come back. He's recording us.
Yeah, I know. So that makes me wonder why he would be doing that. I would guess it's probably him or his friend that stole the car, and that's why he's letting the guy know that the car was taken.
Stay over there, sir. Stay over there, sir. Over there. Okay. Alright. So I'm trying to investigate. Okay. This is all you know. Okay, so go over there. Because I can't have somebody behind my back while I'm trying to investigate. Okay, so now you're gonna be detained, okay? Why would I be detained? You're gonna be detained until I'm done with my investigation. Okay? Wow. You don't know how. Perfect. Perfect. I gave you plenty of opportunity to leave. You don't want to leave.
You guys are not learning. You guys are not learning.
It's okay. What's your name, sir?
Walter England.
Okay, Mr. English.
You know I'm living in this right now with Walter.
That is fine.
Right, because of the same exact reason. And it's not to jail with a quick took me out of jail.
Well, guess what?
Because of the fact that he unlawfully arrested me. And you're doing it again.
Did you feel unsafe, man?
There's no reason for it though. On a public sidewalk.
Can you back that up?
Yes.
Just back it up prior to the exchange between the officer and the defendant.
Prior to it?
Yeah.
After he was arrested or before?
No, before. When
Before he was arrested.
Kind of still on the sidewalk.
Yes, okay. I guess it just needs a minute.
It's technically accurate as I am.
Huh. Okay, I'll just reopen it. 3:25.
Because you're being detained until I'm...
Yeah, I know. So that makes me wonder why he would be doing that. I would guess it's probably him or his friend that stole the car, and that's why he's letting the guy know that the car was taken.
Stay over there, sir. Stay over there, sir. Over there. Okay. Alright, so I'm trying to investigate. Okay, is this going to go? Okay, so go over there. Because I can't have somebody behind my back while I'm trying to investigate. Okay, so now you're going to be detained, okay? Why would I be detained? You're going to be detained until I'm done my investigation. Okay? Wow. You don't know how. Perfect. Perfect. I gave you plenty of opportunity to leave. You don't want to leave. You guys are not learning. You guys are not learning. That's okay. What's your name, sir? Walter England. Okay, Mr. England. You know I'm in litigation right now with Walter. That is fine. Right. Because of the same exact reason. And the sergeant to jail with quick took me out of the jail. Well, guess what? Because of the fact that you don't offer me to tell off me working me, and you're doing it again. Did you fill out the sick man? There's no reason for it to go on the other side of the that's fine. You're reporting me as well. Okay, that's fine. Perfect. Yeah. Take a seat from me. Sure. I'm done with my investigation. Yeah, we're all going to do with you. There will be litigation against you as well. I don't know why you guys keep making the same mistake. You guys keep making the same exact mistake. I can record you anytime I want you from a public side. I'm sorry for them to do that. So, what's your name again? Mr. Walker. Yeah.
Your Honor, I'll pass the witness.
Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll just pick up right where Ms. Schuman left off.
Your Honor, if I can approach you to Exhibit 3.
Can we switch to defense counsel, or defense's computer, please?
I'm sorry?
Could we switch to the defense table display?
Yes. The judge has the other table.
Thinking I'm not dexterous enough to do this as extend, duplicate, just one more. Just real quick while we're here, I wanted to listen to some of this audio again.
We're all going to do with you. There will be litigation against you as well.
And Officer Shell, if you could just listen closely and let me know what you hear when I prompt you.
I don't know why you guys keep making the same mistake. You guys keep making the same exact mistake. I can record you anytime I want you from a
What did you make out Mr. England saying there? I can record you anytime I want.
And public sidewalk.
Public sidewalk, okay. Would you concede that earlier, you made a statement earlier that he described himself as being on a fucking sidewalk?
Yes.
Do you think that he might have said public sidewalk in that earlier conversation?
Potentially could have, yes, that's what I heard.
I hear public sidewalk both times, but it's kind of in the ear of the beholder. Just to take us away from this incident a little bit, Officer Sotelo, let's imagine, if you will, it's September 18th, it's about 5:30 in the afternoon, Mr. England's not there. Can you tell us what your investigation looks like?
My investigation will still be the same. If somebody that was walking by, they could walk by, but I knew that he was not there to walk by. He was already recording me from the across the street. He refused my commands already. I knew that he was making a point to come across and try to interact with me.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that, making a point to interact with me. I want to come back to that in a little bit. But so let's just imagine there's none of these recording folks, or no one else but Ms. Holly's on the street. What do?
Same thing I always do. I inventory the vehicle, call for another unit, look for any evidence, see after the inventory the car. While I'm releasing the vehicle, one of my partners will be writing up a tow form.
In that tow form, so the gentleman that Holly was with, Timothy, was that his name?
Yes.
Where is he at this point?
He stated he went to his house to go pick up his keys.
Okay. In your recollection, did he later return with the key?
Yes.
Okay. And so you're waiting for Timothy. Holly doesn't have a key, correct?
Correct.
Timothy has gone off to wherever to get the key.
Yes.
So at 5:32 p.m., what would you have been doing had Mr. England not been there?
Inventorying the front compartment of the vehicle where it was unlocked.
Okay, so you were able to access the front part of the
Yes.
vehicle. Okay. Did you open that front passenger door?
I didn't get time. I got got interrupted by Mr. England.
You were interrupted by Mr. England?
Yes.
Okay. And so let's just play back a bit of this here. So this is when we're getting the VIN number off the front,
Correct.
driver's side, right?
Yes.
So you call for your secondary unit around here.
Yes.
You're calling in the VIN. You're waiting for that VIN to come back.
Yes.
Do you happen to recall, just while we're waiting, and this is about 1:45. 2:15 is the clip. Do you happen to remember? Did that VIN come back?
I don't recall.
Do you remember who the registered owner was?
It was Timothy.
It was Mr. Timothy. And so that took a couple minutes. That took a couple minutes to come back. That's fine. No, you're fine. Yeah, I'm muting it now. We were at about 2:15 of the video here. Now we've gone on to 2:45. You're talking with Holly about Mr. England crossing the street. You're exchanging ideas with her about what his motives are. So that VIN took a couple minutes to come back, correct?
Usually just confirm the VIN. It takes a minute or two.
Okay.
Yes. Sometimes longer.
And speaking of checks, what's Holly's full name?
Holly Anderson?
Okay. Did you run a WINS check on her?
No, I did not.
Okay. What was Timothy's full name?
Timothy Haircox?
Did you run a WINS check on him?
No.
Okay. These folks flagged you down in the middle of the street?
Correct.
Okay. And you just kind of took them at their word that this was their vehicle?
Well, yeah, so like I said, I was actually investigating the stolen vehicle the night prior.
Right.
It was actually stolen out of the El Dorado.
Okay.
So I was pretty familiar with this case.
Mhm.
That was my job the night before looking for this vehicle.
Had you had contact with Holly beforehand?
No, I passed by while my partner was actually taking the initial stolen vehicle report.
At this time, this is 2 minutes into the clip, 3 minutes into the clip. Did you know that Holly, other than her own statement, did you have any reason to think that Holly was the owner of the vehicle, had a right to the vehicle, could have been the vehicle thief? Did you have any way to distinguish that?
No.
So again, 2:15 of the clip, you're in front, you're running the VIN. It's now 2:45 of the clip.
Mm-hmm.
I have the sound off. What are you doing now? You're talking with Holly?
So I see that he's making his way towards me.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's a safety concern. I just want to make sure I don't want to get too deep and try to get in the vehicle and,
Why is it a safety concern?
because I don't know what his intentions are. I don't know.
Well, did you not tell Holly at the time he's going to come over here?
And report, yes.
Okay, so what was the safety concern?
So my safety concern is that if he's coming too close and he's trying to make an interact with me. This is not the first auditors that we dealt with. They're not as nice as they try to seem. My safety concern is that I was there by myself. I didn't have no cover officers to help me.
Yeah, not the first. Tell me about the first auditor. What do you mean by that?
I've dealt with multiple auditors in the past.
What is an auditor?
People that try to exercise their First Amendment right, or they do exercise their First Amendment right. And from my understanding, when they call themselves auditors, or police auditors, or whatever they call it, they try to bait officers in and try to see if they, I don't know, potentially violate their civil rights.
They try to, did I hear you beat officers in?
Bait.
Oh, I see. So that they try to kind of push the limits of their free speech rights.
Yes.
Got it. And so this is, Mr. England to be an auditor?
I did not know. At the time, I did not know.
You didn't. Had you ever interacted with Mr. England before?
I had one interaction, but at that time, I couldn't remember who he was.
Oh, okay. What caused you to tell Holly at about 2:45 of the clip he's going to come over here and record us?
Because not every, you don't always see people recording. It's not usual.
Okay. And so your testimony is that you have dealt with Mr. England in the past?
No, I'm not saying, I couldn't recognize him at the time. I didn't know who he was.
Okay. Do you believe now that you dealt with him in July of 2023, about 2 months before this incident?
Yes, now I do.
Okay. And so, but you have, your testimony today is that you, in this moment, had no recollection of that
I
interaction.
had no recollection of who he was until after he mentioned that he was, had Hoyt, Officer Hoyt, and he did a recording court around, accusing him, whatever.
I understand.
That's when I started clicking that maybe this is the same guy that I dealt with a couple of months ago.
Now, this Hoyt incident, had that happened at the time that you interacted with him in July?
No, I'm not too sure about the dates, but it was on my day off, I believe, a week prior to this incident.
Was what?
Was Officer Hoyt's incident.
I'm just trying to kind of piece together. So you say your testimony today is that you never interacted with Mr. England. In this moment, September 18th, you have no recollection of having dealt with him.
I had no recollection of it.
You see him with a phone, you kind of get the read that he's one of these auditor folks.
Yes.
But you have no subjective recollection of who he is. That's your
I
testimony.
deal with so many people I don't know.
I understand. But I think I also understood your testimony to be that once the conversation unfurled and he mentioned Hoyt, you knew exactly who he was.
I did not know exactly who he was. I was still trying to figure out who this individual was.
Okay. And so you had no recollection of an incident 2 months earlier. When you filled out your report for this incident, is your recollection of that interaction been refreshed?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Why was that?
Because it was talked about it. It was talked about the incidents, about Hoyt's incident with other officers. And then I brought up my incident. So then it all started clicking that this individual was the same individual that dealt with Officer Hoyt.
So you did a fair amount of research before you actually wrote up your report?
Research, I guess.
Or kind of refreshing your recollection of things?
Yes.
Okay. That's this real quick. You say anything like, go ahead.
Yeah, no, in research, so then I started getting all kinds of videos of from multiple people, family members, people from my parents from Southern California sending me videos that he posted.
Okay.
So that's when it all started clicking in.
And this was all this was all in between when you detained him at 5:30 p.m. and when you wrote your report?
That was actually after that. I had a few days to write my report since it was a citation and have to do it that night.
Yes. Okay.
I'm sorry, so 2 days later, you're writing the report and it comes to mind.
Correct. So we have 7 days to do a citation. So yes, it was actually my day off. I was working overtime to stay. So when I came back home on Monday, that's when I finished my citation.
And so family sent you videos, and help us understand that.
Yeah. So like I said, I didn't know about these videos until a lot of people started sending them to me after the case.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was one of those videos of the July interaction with Mr. England? Okay. Do you recall any of the things you said to Mr. England during that interaction?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'm going to object as to relevance in our motions that we filed.
No, go ahead. We'll
Okay. Okay.
Go ahead.
What is your, after having, so we're kind of jumping around in time. I know that your memory now is solid and you kind of have all the details in front of you. As of today, can you tell us what your recollection is of that July incident?
So I was actually investigating domestic disturbance. I was driving down Virginia Street by the Arch. I noticed a male individual yelling at 2 females that were pushing a stroller. He was in their face yelling at them. At this point, I decided to make a U-turn and stop that individual, make sure there was nothing physical that was occurring, or any domestic violence that was occurring. And I witnessed Mr. England come to my scene and started recording, which I had no problem with him recording there at that time either, but I was more dealing with somebody else that I had detained at the time. And yeah, that was my interaction with him.
Did you have no problem with him recording?
I had no problem with him recording.
Do you recall calling him any names?
He was being nosy.
Yeah. Did you call him a nosy person a couple times?
Yes.
But you didn't have a problem with him recording?
I
You just thought it was nosy.
the male subject that I had stopped, the female half that he was with, was asking him to stop recording.
And then had the male half that was detained respond?
He was drunk and he was also on his side, he was trying to tell me, hey, that's my sister, or whoever he was with.
Did the male, and I don't want to go too far afield, did the male subject that you had detained, did he respond, he's fine, he's trying to protect my rights?
Yep.
So, you had that whole interaction, you got the guy outside the El Dorado, there's probably, I'm guessing lots of people were walking by, it was an evening?
Yes.
Okay, in the late summer, early fall. Folks are walking by, Mr. England's there recording you for that whole duration?
Yes.
You called him nosy a couple times. Did he have any choice words for you?
I don't recall, I don't remember.
But that whole incident, 2 months later, you got no recollection of it?
Not at the time. Like I said, I didn't know who he was. I didn't run him. I didn't actually deal with him. I didn't know anything about this guy.
Okay. I'll move on, take you at your word there. So getting back to kind of what the Mr. England-less interaction would have been here. So again, imagine Mr. England's not here. And at this point, we're a minute and a half into this interaction. He's just approaching the point where you tell him to stay back. So help me understand this minute and a half from when you're checking the VIN on the front to where you're kind of just, it looks to me like you're just standing around chatting with Holly, waiting for Mr. England to arrive.
Waiting for a cover officer to arrive.
And that would have been your ordinary practice, checking out, investigating a felony?
Yes, a GTA.
Sure. Sure, for all the reasons, all the concerns you raised.
If there was somebody, if it was an occupied vehicle, we would actually do a felony car stop, which consists of multiple officers. It consists from 5 to 10 officers sometimes. We have a team of an arrest team, a lethal team, and a non-lethal team.
Okay.
So yes, like I said, I wasn't by myself at this point. I still haven't cleared the vehicle.
Yeah. So if I heard your testimony, an arrest team, a lethal team, a non-lethal team, you're waiting for all these units to arrive?
Obviously not because it was unoccupied, but I was waiting for the officer, yes.
But you don't know it's unoccupied? You don't know there's not someone in the tinted back, under a blanket?
Oh, I checked with my flashlight and
Okay.
there was nobody in the back. My biggest concern was also we help each other. We help with the tow forms. And even if I did have to release it and I have to go to my report, my partner will wait for a tow truck. If Miss Holly wasn't there,
Sure.
and I would have my partner wait for a tow truck.
Okay. And I guess what I'm getting at, Officer Sotelo, is help me understand. It's been a minute and a half. It goes on to a couple minutes. Your testimony earlier was that Mr. England's presence delayed your investigation. Help me understand what you would have been doing in his absence, because I'm hearing you say
Searching the vehicle. So I would be waiting for somebody to come, and then once that was done, either we're doing paperwork, I'm searching the vehicle. Usually, if I find the vehicle, I task my partners to inventory the vehicle. While I'm dealing with the other paperwork, administrative paperwork, looking at the report where it was stolen. Obviously, I already knew where it was stolen from, but that's the way we usually handle these calls.
Okay.
And usually people, if it's not busy, other officers will just dispatch themselves to me to cover me.
Sure. And within a couple minutes, officers were there, right?
5 minutes?
Yeah.
5 minutes, yes.
So that'll make sense to me. And I guess what I'm getting at, again, not to beat a dead horse here, is it looks to me like from 2:30, 2:35 in the video, we hit play and you're kind of chatting with Holly. You turn your back to her at this point. And you didn't know Holly's full name at that time.
I did not.
You hadn't carded her, you hadn't witness checked her.
No.
She's just Holly.
She's a victim at this point.
Yeah, putative, alleged, right? Okay. You turn your back to her, and again, I don't see you operating the door. You're waiting for Mr. England to arrive. It seems to me like you've chosen to detain him.
He didn't arrive.
You were hoping he didn't?
I just hoping he just heard where he was at, so I could continue my investigation and wait for my partner for my safety. I felt uncomfortable. Like the 2 nights prior, there was a LA Sheriff deputy that got shot, ambushed.
Oh, I understand. Yeah, I'll ask the questions. I understand the concerns, and I don't mean to diminish your role or the safety concerns you have. We're focused on this incident, right? Not some Hollywood incident that happened somewhere else. You actually flushed Mr. England out of where he was recording, correct? You admonished him to get out of the street multiple times, right?
Correct.
Okay, so he's 30 feet away, he's across the street.
Yes.
He's recording you. You expressed a concern, you expressed it at the time of the video, and you did on direct examination, that you were concerned that he was going to get hit by a car.
Yes.
Now, I think we can agree, he is protruding into the T2 travel lane. Do you think that he's especially likely to be struck by a vehicle if I zoom in here?
Yes.
You think that's very likely?
Yes.
Okay, I'll just, whoops.
You can see his lines over the light, the light line.
And yeah, okay. And so that's such a safety concern for you.
Correct.
Okay. And so when he backs up onto the curb, that's not sufficient. Or that would.
That's on the curb, that's fine, you put it in there.
Okay. And so rather than just kind of leave things there, you kind of wait for him to make his transit all the way around the block to come to you. You do no investigating.
I didn't know he was going to come around until I met with the victim, and I saw him from the corner of my eye, and now he was walking towards.
Okay. But you didn't tell Holly he's going to be back. He's going to come over here.
I did tell him that once I saw him walking towards the light, he was going to come across.
Okay. As Mr. England's approaching, so again, you kind of sit here, you wait, you detain your investigation as he approaches. He finally comes near, he gets to this light pole. I think I agree with you, he's maybe something like 30 feet away when you kind of initially hail him.
Yes.
Would you describe yourself as kind of issuing two distinct audible commands with some kind of a pause, or was it more rapid fire?
I knew that light pole was kind of my line. I told him to come closer.
Okay.
That was my line.
What was that based on?
Distance.
I mean, why? Help me understand.
What do you mean?
Why that light pole? Why not?
Obviously that was a noticeable structure, noticeable something that where I could tell him to stop there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so you've dealt with other auditors in the past, so you know colleagues have.
Yes.
Okay. And to that point, do you have any anecdotal evidence that an auditor has actually attacked someone during one of these audits?
No.
Okay. And so you decide you want him to stop at that pole. What if he's taken a step forward?
He was just a step forward, and I mean, I would tell him way back there, that's my mark, that's where I say he stopped.
And in your mind, what is a lawful command issued by an officer?
To stop. Stop where I tell him to.
And what makes that command lawful?
Yeah, I'm going to object. He's not an expert. That draws a legal conclusion.
Well, give your best shot.
So a lawful command would be from a law enforcement officer investigating some type of crime. I'm giving him a command to stop. Obviously, if I wasn't really doing much and he was just walking by, then that's all fine with me. But at this point, I'm actually investigating a crime. Investigating a crime, or just give him a lawful order to stop.
Okay. And so, and you as you testified earlier, you're investigating a crime. You also had some sense of what he was about, whether you knew that this was Walter England, the guy you interacted with 6 weeks prior, or just like one of these auditor types. You knew who he was.
I did not.
Or you knew what he was about.
He's a civilian. I do not know if he has any weapons on him. I don't know.
So you
just
didn't.
Just like every traffic stop, I don't know who has a weapon or who does not, who's there to kill me, who's not.
And so I just want to clarify some of our earlier conversation. You did or did not think that this was one of those auditor guys?
I figured he was. He was recording. I listened to my commands. I thought he was trying to get me for me to walk across the street right there and there, which I wasn't. I obviously ignored him and I continued my investigation.
Okay. And so, again, and I don't want to, Ms. Schuman, the city's point is understood. I guess when I ask what a lawful command is, I'm thinking a command is anything an officer says that's mandatory or directive, right?
Correct.
And I'm asking you what makes that lawful. If you tell someone, shoot that man, if you see a civilian, you say shoot him.
I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to tell a civilian to shoot someone. That's number one.
Okay. Why not? Would that not be a lawful command?
That's not their job. That's my job.
Okay. What if you see someone walking by and you say, jump up and down 3 times?
Objection, Your Honor. Speculation?
Go ahead.
What about it?
I'm just trying to get to a scenario where we can have a conversation here, and I think you know what I'm getting at.
I do not. Actually.
Okay, so I'm happy to go down this road. So any mandatory rather than precatory phrase that comes out of your mouth as a uniformed officer is a command, right?
Yes.
Thou shalt do X, right? I'm telling you to do X. What makes that command lawful?
Well, I'm doing my lawful duties as a law enforcement officer.
Okay, so anything you tell someone to do while on duty in uniform is a lawful command?
Well, I'm doing lawful duties and while I'm investigating a crime, yes. So I can't just drive down the street and, hey, jump up 3 times. I cannot do that. I'm actually investigating a crime that's being committed, being committed or has been committed, and I gave him a lawful order to stop.
Okay. Now, just not to bust your chops too much here, but at 3:20 of the video, you're not investigating anything.
I am investigating. That whole time that I'm there, I'm investigating a crime.
Well, it looks to me like you're waiting for Mr. England to arrive on the scene to see if he's going to bait you into a situation.
That is not true. I'm investigating a crime. I'm getting more information. I'm waiting. Now, to stop my investigation, focus my attention to him. Like I said, I don't know who he is. And even if I saw him in the street right now, I don't know what his intentions are. I don't know if he has a gun or I don't know if he's out there to kill me.
In this still shot we have right here, what are you investigating? What information are you gathering?
A felony crime. I'm waiting for my government to come.
Okay, so you're waiting to gather information,
Yes.
correct? Okay. And so I think as far as we've gotten, I'll move on from this. As far as we've gotten, in your mind, a lawful order is any order you issue while on duty
Well,
in any way connected with your law enforcement duties,
Correct.
without regard for its resonance with other statutes.
Your Honor, again, I'm going to object. Thank you, Your Honor.
Your testimony earlier was that you believe that Mr. England might have had his hand in his pocket.
Correct.
Can you see this video?
I didn't say in his pocket, I said near his pocket.
Mm-hmm. How would you describe Mr. England's posture and activity here?
Standing straight forward, looking at me.
Does he appear to have anything in his pocket? Do you see a bulge?
I can't tell if he has anything in there.
Mm-hmm. Do you see a bulge on the right side of his pants?
I can't tell. I mean, he could have something concealed in his pocket. I don't know. In his waistband, I don't know.
Okay. What did you tell Mr. England as you were debating or discussing this decision you made to detain him? Did you explain to him that he'd had opportunities to avoid this?
He had plenty of opportunities to go back to leave, but he did not.
So, yeah, to leave. That's what I thought I heard you say about 4 minutes into the video. What did you mean by opportunities to
To
leave?
leave my immediate area, that's what I meant.
Mm-hmm.
It was too close to me.
Okay.
And I even explained to him, I don't have to explain to anybody what I'm doing in my investigation. I explained to him, hey, I'm investigating a felony crime, stolen car. I don't have to tell them for the safety and for the privacy of the victims. I don't have to worry about the rape. I'm not going to tell this gentleman over here walking out that, hey, I'm investigating a rape. But I did give him some piece of mind so he knew what I was doing, what kind of crime I was dealing with.
I understand. And that's actually a really good place to maybe leave things off. I think I hear you saying that when you are in uniform discharging your duties, any order you issue is a lawful command and you need not explain it or converse with someone about why they need to comply if they think that there's some competing legal authority. That's just, officers tell us at it, it's a lawful command in a story. Is that where we are?
Your Honor, that's a compound question. Can you break it down?
Sure.
Or you can just say it before.
Yeah, I think I've made my point. I'll leave Officer Scott alone for now. Thank you. Nothing further to say.
Any redirect?
Just a little bit, Your Honor. Okay, so let's go to the July of 2023 incident. So, was it dark outside? That was nighttime?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And you did direct Mr. England to stay back, but he could film?
At that point, I didn't even, I think he was at a safe distance where he was able to film. I didn't even to get back.
Okay, so he didn't obstruct your investigation?
No.
And he wasn't arrested?
No.
Did he say to you, you're a punk-ass officer and shouldn't be an officer anymore, get a different job?
Yes, he did.
Was he shouting that at you
Yes,
from
he
the
was.
sidewalk as you were leaving the scene?
Yes, he was.
Okay. Now, why did you say he was being nosy?
Because he was recording our interaction, and then the female half was telling, stop it, you could hear her yelling, stop recording him, stop recording him.
Did she ask you why he was recording her husband?
I did not.
Okay, and did you respond, he's being nosy?
Yeah, I think I told her he was being nosy.
Okay, so back to Holly. Do you think if Holly had stolen this vehicle, she would have called and reported it herself?
Probably not.
Okay, so you didn't believe she posed any threat to you? Okay, because she was the victim?
She was the victim.
Okay. Okay, defense said the shooting that you referenced in LA was a Hollywood incident. Wasn't there just recently a Sparks officer that was shot?
Objection.
Your Honor, he opened the door. Why was it
I
relevant when you asked it on cross?
It wasn't a question I asked. It was batting back business.
Okay, tell us about that.
So there was an officer that was ambushed a few days ago. He was doing what they call a traffic stop, a routine traffic stop, which every cop knows it's not a routine traffic stop. As he was walking to the window, he got shot in the arm.
Okay.
I was actually one of the first community officers that responded to that incident, and still not knowing the subject to see if he gave up or not, he shot two of my other officers.
Okay. Thank you for explaining that. Okay, now, and again, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but you've got this guy that you don't know approaching you on the sidewalk, right? Approaching you and Holly. And it looks like he's actually closer to Holly than he was to you even.
Yes.
Are you concerned about your safety, her safety?
Yes.
You don't know his criminal history, what his intentions are?
Correct.
You don't know if he has a weapon?
No.
I mean, obviously, if someone has a weapon, they don't approach you with the weapon out, right? They usually like draw it and pull it out when they get close to you?
Consider, yes.
Okay. Okay, now going back to the light pole, I just want to go to the body cam here. I'm going to take you to 3:18, 3 minutes, 18 seconds. Let me just make sure this is going to work. I might have to rewind it again. Are we able?
Oh, so you want to stay from 3:18?
Yeah, if you could, that would be great.
Sure.
Thanks.
Is this where you want it? 5 seconds from now?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
Just stay to our meetings.
Okay. So obviously, you're investigating this entire vehicle, correct?
Yes.
Which means you have to go around it, behind it, over to the side. Is that accurate? You're going all the way around this vehicle trying to see what's inside of it, what's in the trunk?
Yes.
Okay, so when you say you want him to go back to the light pole, the light pole, were you taking that into consideration? You're going to have to go all the way around this vehicle?
Yes.
Okay, can you talk about that more?
So I believe that's a safe distance for him to be, and you can record me, like I said. But I do have to walk around the vehicle, turn my back towards him, eventually check the trunk once Timothy came back with the keys. I'm going to have to get into the vehicle and make sure there's no anything of evidential value. There's been cases where people that steal vehicles actually drop their wallets inside. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for anything of evidential value at this point.
Okay, and the light pole that you asked him to stay back at, that's about a car length away?
Yes, it's probably like right behind this white Chrysler.
Okay. Let me see here. Okay, what training did you receive at Post about how close someone can get to you and you have time to draw your weapon if need be?
So, what they teach us is 21-foot rule. 21-foot rule means it takes about 1.5 seconds for a suspect with a sharp object to come in and actually stab you. It also takes about 1.5 seconds for me to retrieve my gun and shoot every rounds on center mass and stopping the subject.
Okay, so rule of thumb is...
So it's about the same time, the same distance for me to draw my weapon, return accurate fire, this at 1.5 seconds, and it takes about 1.5 seconds for the average person to, from 21 feet, to reach me and stab me.
Okay, and that's, do you know approximately how many steps that would be? I guess it depends on the person.
Yes,
So
it depends on the person.
I'll move on. Okay, that's all I have here.
Officer Sotelo, what is your 40-yard dash time? I'm just kidding.
Pretty fast.
Mine's about a second or two slower than it used to be. The post, this is actually a very helpful thing, this post training that you talked about. Do you happen to recall when? Was this during your initial post training that you learned the 21-foot rule of
It was
thumb?
actually during taser training, non-lethal training. During non-lethal training and accurate taser, it's not going to be accurate at 21 feet, so you got to keep in mind the distance how far the subject's going to be.
Okay. And so with your service revolver or your weapon, it's more accurate, obviously, than a taser at that distance.
Correct.
Yeah. That makes sense. So you kind of have this drilled into you through post training, 21 feet, right? That sounds like you know it really well.
Yes.
Okay. And that's basically, in your mind, safe distance in terms of being able to respond to a sudden attack.
Every situation is different.
Okay.
Like I said, I won't feel comfortable. It just depends. I can't tell you, but that's pretty much my safe distance. 21 feet or a little bit less. Now I kind of know. I don't have a measuring tape where I can measure 21 feet, but I'm just estimating where I think it's going to be a safe distance for me.
Okay. But you asked Mr. England to stay back about 50% farther than that.
Correct.
About 30 feet.
Yes.
Okay. And you characterize that, or maybe the city asked you to characterize that as about one car length.
Correct.
Okay. I'm just going to wait here for the video screen to clear.
So I can't quite, there's a little bit of a perspective issue here, but it looks like 30 feet would be longer than, I think a standard car maybe 15 feet. It looks like that light pole's a bit farther back.
But regardless, no question there, just rambling. Let's jump back to that July incident. And again, we take you at your word that in September you had complete memory hole of who Mr. England was or what he was about, no recollection of this particular individual, how he dresses. No recollection there. Going back to July 2023, you now know that individual recorded you, Mr. England recorded you.
Yes.
Correct, from a safe distance.
Yes.
Okay. At that time, did you know who he was?
I did not.
Okay. And this was at night?
Yes.
Were there more people around or fewer than in this incident?
There was more people around.
Okay. It was night as opposed to kind of late afternoon here?
Correct.
You had someone that you suspected of a violent crime. You had detained for a potentially violent crime.
Correct.
Okay, as opposed to an unoccupied GTA.
Correct.
Okay. And so under those facts and circumstances, did you feel more at ease with the individual who turned out to be Mr. England in July of 2023 than you did here in September?
So at that same time, I actually requested another unit, and I was waiting for my cover officer. While I was running the defendant, I had my back towards the building, running him and keeping my eyes up.
Okay.
Eyes open, waiting for my cover.
Did you continue your investigation in July of 2023 while you were waiting for that cover unit to arrive?
Yes. No. So I actually just met with the male subject while I was running him. I waited for my cover unit to arrive, and then once my cover unit arrived, then I went across the street and talked to the female to see if there was anything domestic violence or crime.
During that whole time, did the male subject and you exchange any information pertinent to the investigation?
Did I what?
Did you and the male subject exchange any information pertinent to that investigation? Or were you just talking about football scores, or were you talking about the incident?
We were talking about the incident.
Okay, so it sounds like your investigation was continuing.
It was continuing, yes.
Okay, so you did not delay your investigation in July when Mr. England was videoing you.
So
you didn't know who he
I'm
was.
sure there was a pause while I was waiting for the return.
And at that time, you didn't know him from Adam. You didn't know who this individual was.
Yeah, did not know.
You had no way of knowing who this was.
Never
Okay. 2 months later, you might know somewhere deep in your memory who he is, but you couldn't quite recall it then.
Correct. Yeah.
I'm very sorry to hear about the incident you responded to in Sparks. Was the suspect there a First Amendment auditor?
I have no clue.
Okay. Was that individual carrying a camera when he had ambushed officers?
I do not. I don't know.
In your subsequent investigation, you have no idea?
No.
Okay. Based on your training and experience, do you think it is consistent with someone who's going to attack you that they would have a weapon in one hand or pocket and a camera in the other?
It could vary.
Okay, based on your training and experience, is that a likely
If you want to go
situation?
back to my training experience, I've been in combat. I dealt with civilians in the past. I had a female walk up to my checkpoint and blow herself up. I don't know. I don't know what their intentions are. That's what we have to see alert.
And you have no idea what the intentions of the First Amendment auditors are?
Correct. I do not know.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Nothing on that, Your Honor.
Question, from the point where you first saw him across the street, where he was in the lane of travel, to where he eventually ended, where you detained him, how many yards is that? Because this optically, this is a little...
So I would say about from where he was at, maybe 40 yards, and then another 25 yards to come across, and then another 40 yards to come.
So he went up 40 yards, came up 20 yards.
Yeah.
And came across 20 and then back down to you, which was another 20?
20, 30 yards, probably more, 40 yards, I would say.
All right. It's interesting you brought up the post-training state of mind. So you see him, he's standing there. It's not in this video, but he's standing there. He's got the recorder in the left hand, and he's got his right hand down by his side. If he had a weapon in his back pocket, how quick could he get that out and lobbing a shot your way? That you've been training.
1.5 seconds.
Boom. Okay, good. Any other questions?
No, Your Honor.
None here, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll stick around.
Your Honor, if we could call Holly Anderson, and can we keep this officer, make him subject to recall?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Your Honor.
conspicuous. Go ahead and raise your right hand. In the matter pending before the court, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth?
Yes.
Thank you. You've been sworn in.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ma'am. Can you state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Holly Jean Anderson, Anderson.
And ma'am, where do you live?
I live in South Reno.
Okay. How long have you lived in Reno?
I've been here for about 3 years now.
Now, did you have a vehicle that was stolen in September of 2023?
Yes, I did.
Can you tell me about that?
It was stolen out of the parking garage in the El Dorado Casino on the main level.
Okay. And what type of vehicle was it?
It was a Nissan Sentra, 1984 Nissan Sentra.
Do you remember what day the vehicle was stolen?
I believe it was September 16th.
Okay.
It was reported at the casino.
Was it the 16th or the 17th? It's okay if it's a little
It
off.
was, I believe it was the 16th, and then it was found on the 18th.
Okay. Okay, so did you see the vehicle again?
Yes, I did.
Okay, tell me about that.
I went to go purchase a car at Lithia, Jeep, and I bought a car, and I was driving down the road, and I found it parked on the side of the road, like a couple blocks from where it was stolen.
Were you surprised to see it?
Yes, very surprised.
When you found it, what did you do?
I told my boyfriend to let me out of the car so that I could run to the car and make sure that somebody didn't get in and take off in it.
Okay.
So,
Did you get to the vehicle then?
yes, I did.
Did you wave down an officer?
Yes, I did.
Do you remember which officer it was?
Mr.
Sotelo?
Sotelo. I keep forgetting how to say Sotelo.
It's kind of hard to pronounce.
Yeah.
When Officer Sotelo arrived, what did he do?
He asked me about the vehicle, asked me if it was fine, and I said yes. And it was in my boyfriend's name at the time, registered in his name. And I told him it had been stolen 2 days prior.
Okay, and did you tell him you'd go get the keys to get in the
Yes,
trunk?
I did.
Okay.
Yes.
Where were you standing when this took place?
When I found the car, I was standing right next to the vehicle.
With Sotelo?
Yes,
Okay.
with Mr. Sotelo.
So when Officer Sotelo was looking into the vehicle with a flashlight, what happened?
I saw a gentleman from across the street come over with his phone, and he was videotaping the incident.
Okay, so he was filming you from across the street?
Yes.
Was he in the roadway?
Yes. Well, he had walked out a little bit farther, and
Like
then.
into an active lane of travel? Okay.
Well, he was coming towards us, and then
Well, before he crossed the street.
before he crossed the street, he was just standing there, and then he walked across the street, one side of the street, and then up the other side of the street where we were standing.
Were you wondering why he was filming you?
Yes, I was. I thought maybe he was somebody that had something to do with the car being stolen.
Did Officer Sotelo tell the gentleman to get out of the road?
Yes, he did.
Did you see that guy move after? Did he obey Sotelo's commands when he was told to get off the roadway?
No, he continued to film, and then after a few minutes, he came back around our side of the street and was standing right behind us.
Did you feel comfortable with him filming you?
No.
Did you say that to Officer Sotelo?
Yes.
Well, I'll take that off. What happened after you saw the gentleman walking towards you on the same side of the sidewalk?
He got right behind us. He was standing like five feet away but that was probably the farthest distance from us where he was standing.
Okay. Was Officer Sotelo telling him to stay back?
Yes, he told him to stay back.
How many times do you know?
A couple of times.
Okay.
A couple of times.
And did this gentleman obey the officer's commands and stop?
No.
He continued to walk towards you?
Yes.
Did you fear for your safety?
Yes, I wasn't sure what he was going to do.
Okay. So what did Officer Sotelo do next?
He gave him another warning, and he had to arrest him after that.
Okay. Because he wasn't...
Because he wasn't complying.
Okay.
Yeah.
see. Were you appreciative that Officer Sotelo detained the defendant?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Why?
Well, I was very uncomfortable. I felt like my rights were being violated because I was being filmed, and I didn't know who stole my car, and I was very upset about all that, you know. And also, I didn't understand what his ankle was, what his premise of the whole situation was.
Okay. How close would you say this guy was to you?
He was like just standing maybe a foot behind me, I'd say. When he came back around, he was trying to film the car or something that we were doing there. He was trying to get the whole thing in.
Okay. And did you want to do a written statement because you felt harassed when the defendant came up and was filming you?
Yes, the officer asked me if I wanted to make a statement, and I said sure.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Did you ask Officer Sotelo, may I please make a statement, or did he ask you if you'd like to make a statement?
It was both.
Well, which was it?
I said that I had asked him if he wanted me to make a statement, and he said that I could make a statement if I wanted to.
Did you make a statement in the investigation of your vehicle theft?
In the investigation of my vehicle theft?
The matter that you're actually there for. Did you make a statement in the matter of the stolen vehicle?
No.
But you did make a statement in the matter of the arrest of it?
Yes.
Okay. And that was at Officer Sotelo's request?
Yes.
You know, I have to admit, I also wouldn't quite know what to make of someone walking down the street filming things. Help me understand your kind of logic of thinking that maybe he was the involved party. If I had stolen a car and then left it on the sidewalk, does it make sense that I might want to surveil that and kind of, oh, shoot, the cops found my stolen car? Does that make sense?
No, a lot of things don't make sense though in this town. But I honestly did not know what to think of the situation. Why would he be interested in this?
Yeah. Well, I'll concede. If I had stolen a car and left it on a public street for whatever reason and then maybe wanted to retrieve it, I would be concerned that the cops had found the car, right? And that would make sense to me that I would kind of be monitoring my stash.
Your Honor, is that a question?
Does that make sense to you,
Statement?
Ms. Anderson?
Yes, but at the same time, I mean, I had just got my car stolen and I was being filmed.
Okay. Well, let's just go one step at a time. I guess what I want to understand is why you thought that someone who maybe had been involved in stealing a vehicle would not only be monitoring it, but then kind of visibly filming activity around it.
Maybe he was trying to warn somebody that they had found the car out front so that he wouldn't come out there and try to get in the car.
That makes sense. I guess does it not make more sense that maybe he would fire off a quick furtive text message as opposed to...
Objection, speculation?
That's the same.
I don't know. I was having a very bad day.
It sounds like it, and I don't envy you, although I guess maybe you have two cars now. It sounds like you just got one, and then you find this one again. Talk to me real quick. You clearly were made uncomfortable by this filming. Do you expect that when you walk down a public street, you're not subject to being filmed or monitored?
Technically, as far as the law is concerned, I believe to a certain extent we are allowed to do that in public.
You just didn't like it.
No.
And frankly, I wouldn't like it either.
Right.
Did you feel unsafe?
I don't really feel real safe in Reno lately. I mean, I've had my window bashed in, my battery stolen, and my car stolen, and then all this other stuff happened. So, no, not really. I don't really feel that safe.
You've had a bad run of luck, I'll concede. Was the individual, I don't think we've asked you this question, was the individual that you observed across the street and then who was detained, was that the individual, you see that person in the room today?
Yes.
Okay. Can you describe an article of clothing on that person?
The day that this happened? Or
No, presently.
A button-up blue shirt.
May the record reflect that Ms. Anderson is referring to the defendant? So reflected, thank you. Ms. Anderson, when you saw this individual, the defendant, approaching you, did you feel, and I understand you've been through a number of property crimes recently, did you feel physically unsafe as he approached?
Well, I did as far as his ignoring the officer's command to step back. I thought that was a little bit much.
Did he appear to have a weapon?
I couldn't see if he had a weapon or not because he was standing right behind me with his telephone, and I was looking the other way with the officer standing next to me.
Okay. You didn't keep your eyes on him?
No, because I didn't see him coming up from the other side of the street until he was standing right behind us.
Had you not been discussing that matter with Officer Sotelo that he was going to be coming over?
I didn't think that he was actually going to do it. I thought the guy was leaving after he asked him to leave.
Understood. Nothing further on that.
Yeah.
Nothing on that.
Young lady, you may step down, but please stick around. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor. City arrest.
Defense?
Yes, Your Honor. The defense would call Jacob Peck.
Your Honor, is it possible to release Miss Anderson? She just worked a night shift.
Are you okay with that?
That is fine.
Okay.
And I don't intend to recall Officer Sotelo for that matter. All right, come on up to the hot seat, sir.
Raise your right hand. Do you know this case and for this court to tell you the whole truth and be but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Here's one.
Good afternoon, sir. Could you please state and spell your name for the record? Thank you. And do you reside in the state of Nevada?
Yes, I do.
Are you employed?
Yes, I am.
What's your occupation? Do you know the man sitting next to me at council table here?
Yes, I do.
What's his name?
His name is Walter England.
At a high level, how do you know Mr. England?
Mr. England and I met through YouTube, YouTube videos. I reached out to him about one of his videos, and we started a friendship.
Are you familiar with an incident that Mr. England was involved in September of 2023?
Yes, I am.
On the 18th of September?
Yes, I am.
How are you familiar with that incident?
Mr. England shared his video with me, and I have continued to do research under journalistic endeavors.
And regarding that research, have you ever visited the scene where this occurred?
Yes, I have.
I'm just going to put we have actually a still shot up here from earlier. Is this a scene that you recognize?
Yes, I do.
Do you notice the timestamp in the upper right?
Yes, I do.
What, in your opinion, does this scene reflect?
This reflects the scene at which Mr. England was recording Officer Sotelo in a stolen vehicle.
And did you, in fact, watch large portions of this body cam footage?
Yes, I watched large portions of the body cam footage as well as Mr. England's footage.
Did you ever go to this scene related to this case?
Yes, I have.
And what did you do there?
Mr. England and I wound up measuring out distances for this court case.
Okay. And when you say measuring out distances, tell me a little bit more about that.
What we were doing was trying to recreate the scene as best we could, placing certain items and ourselves in positions of the victim, the police officer, and Mr. England himself. And we measured distances using my vehicle as a reference point, as a similar vehicle to the stolen car victims.
Thank you. And can you tell us at a high level what kind of observations you made?
From the observations that I made, Officer Sotelo ordered Mr. England back 32 feet from my best estimation. We bought a 16-foot tape measure, figuring that 10 foot was the golden rule of auditing, and that 16 would be plenty for our endeavors. It turned out that we were wrong. It turns out that we pretty much maxed out the tape measure about twice. So Officer Sotelo advised Mr. England to stay back 32 feet, and where Mr. England eventually wound up stopping was 16 feet back.
Okay. Thank you for sharing those observations. And at this time, I want to show you a schematic that I have showed the city. Any concerns here? Yeah?
Just for demonstrative purposes?
For demonstrative purposes.
Okay, no objection.
And so using the latest and greatest technology of PowerPoint and fantastic PowerPoint skills, which I am fortunate to possess, created this little mock-up here. Can you describe to me, based on your visit to the scene and my crude animation here, what we might be looking at?
Right. The triangle is going to be Walter England, and the purple dot would be Officer Sotelo. At this particular point in this particular diagram is the location of where Mr. Sotelo advised Mr. England to stop.
And there's a gray kind of rectangle at the top. What is that?
That gray rectangle is the stolen car depicted on this image.
And what about the two suns?
The two suns are actually city lights that we used as reference as well.
Okay. And what if I told you that actually the star of this case, Mr. Sotelo, Officer Sotelo, is in fact the star there?
Oh yes, Officer Sotelo is the star. My apologies. And the purple dot would be the stolen car victim.
Understood. And so at this time, can you describe, based on your measurements, approximately what the distances are here?
Okay, at this point, between Officer Sotelo and Mr. England, the distance is approximately 32 feet.
Okay. And I'm going to take a step here. Folks are moving around. Can you describe what those movements have been, and then can you tell us what the distances look like?
Sure. Officer Sotelo wound up moving back towards the stolen car. Mr. England moved closer to the building, but still was within 16 feet of the stolen car and Officer Sotelo.
Okay. And just to clarify, in my world, Officer Sotelo is the star, and the victim, or the person whose vehicle that belonged to, is the purple circle.
Correct.
So I'll just go back one more time. I really want you to appreciate the animation here.
I apologize.
And now I'll take another step further. And what does that depict, that movement of that star toward the triangle?
That star to the triangle depicts Officer Sotelo approaching Mr. England to detain him.
Okay. And now?
That depicts Officer Sotelo moving Mr. England to the curb where he was instructed to sit, and Mr. Sotelo then entered the street.
And now?
Officer Sotelo then took a position behind Officer England to talk with the victim.
Okay. And now a green hexagon has appeared in the upper right.
That's correct.
Any recollection of, or any idea what that could be based on your observations of the body?
That would be Mrs. England.
Is that Mr. England's spouse, mother, sister?
That would be Mr. England's mother.
Okay. And where is she coming from?
She's coming from their apartment at the time, which was across the street.
Did she cross their crosswalk?
No, she did not.
How did she cross 2nd Street?
She would be considered, the unlegal term would be jaywalking.
Okay. And then what does she proceed to do?
She then proceeds to cross the street and then is directly in front of the stolen vehicle.
Based on your measurements of the scene, about how far was she from Officer Sotelo when she was standing at the front of the vehicle?
About 4 or 5 feet.
Okay.
At this point.
And what happens based on your observations of the video in terms of an exchange between Mrs. England and Officer Sotelo?
Officer Sotelo and Mrs. England had a conversation about what...
Objection or hearsay?
Yeah, that's the same.
Understood. What does Mrs. England do thereafter?
Mrs. England was eventually ordered by Officer Sotelo to move back, at least to the alleyway, and Mrs. England moved back probably another 3 or 4 feet.
At this time, based on your observations of the body cam, does Officer Sotelo, is he engaged in investigating this stolen vehicle?
At this time, no, he has not engaged in inventorying or doing anything with the stolen vehicle.
Was he doing anything when Mrs. England arrived on the scene?
Objection, Your Honor. He has no personal knowledge of this.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious too whether he's got the qualifications to talk about what an investigation is and what an investigation is not. So if you can clear that up, your experience in that background as far as investigations of crimes, if that's proper.
Yeah, I'm not inquiring into that. I guess, well, here, I'll restate that question. So as to the, his observations of the body cam, he has observed the body cam footage.
But he doesn't have any firsthand knowledge, Your Honor.
I'm asking him what he's observed in the footage.
Yeah, which is hearsay.
Which there's no statement.
There's no exception to hearsay.
No, that's okay. If we can talk about these stars and rectangles and whatever going back and forth, he's more than tired. Thank you.
Based on your observations of the body cam, was Officer Sotelo entering the vehicle?
No, he was not.
Opening doors?
No, he was not.
Containers?
No, he was not.
Logging items he observed?
No, he was not.
He wasn't doing that before Mrs. England arrived?
No, he was not.
Did he have to cease doing that when Mrs. England arrived?
Your Honor, again, objection. He has no firsthand knowledge of
It's the
this.
same.
Moving on. I have nothing further for you, Mr. Peck. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to at some, well, no, actually I won't. Okay, just get everything together. You don't like Officer Sotelo, right?
Objection? Relevance?
Well, I mean, it goes to his bias against the officer, whether he's testifying truthfully or not. You don't like Officer Sotelo?
I have no personal interaction with Officer Sotelo, so I have no bias other than what I had seen in video.
So now you don't have any knowledge, but you did on direct.
I have no personal direct interaction with Officer Sotelo, so therefore I could not form a basis on whether or not I have a...
And you have no personal knowledge of this case, right? You weren't there?
I do have some personal knowledge of
You
this
don't.
case.
You weren't there.
I've seen body cam video.
So we've all seen body cam, but no one was actually there except for Officer Sotelo, Holly Anderson, and the defendant, correct?
Correct.
Now, you also posted videos about Sotelo, right?
Correct.
And you call him a tyrant.
Yes, ma'am.
Bald, stupid Sotelo.
I have not called him bald or stupid.
Okay.